You want some coffee or anything?
No, I appreciate it.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, come on, man. I'm not gonna make you type anything.
Alright.
All right. So, we talked on the phone, we emailed and all that, and you're a witness. Okay. I don't want you to think that you're a suspect. That I'm not gonna read you your Miranda rights. You know, I'm not gonna interrogate you. Okay.
Okay.
Like, I gotta sign this case. Okay. I wasn't even in this unit when it happened.
Oh, okay.
August 2nd, 2019. You know what I'm talking about? The guy setting fires on the side of 30 and Brad Cox. Okay? You were on the engine that day. You were one of the firefighters that were there. So, you know, unfortunately, you are a witness. I know that you and the other firefighters were not interviewed back then, unless somebody else interviewed you outside of your internal affairs and all that later on. But regarding the criminal investigation, I don't think anybody talked to you.
No.
So I get to sign the case, obviously a couple months back, and then I wasn't even here, but I looked at what was done, what wasn't done, and then, you know, I've got to talk to people,
Right.
Because how long you been a firefighter?
4 years.
4 years. Were you anywhere doing firefighting before that?
No.
Okay.
I started in Dallas.
Okay. So I've been on almost 23 years on the department.
Yes.
I've been a detective for about 11 years, 12 years, I'm sorry, 12 years, okay?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, in various places. So, I don't fight fires, I investigate cases. I mean,
Right.
that's my thing. So, this is what I do, okay? And I ask everybody questions, and I'm honest with people, and I just ask people to be honest with me, all right? I don't want you to think that anything in here that, you know, you're gonna tell me anything that is gonna get you put in jail. Anything that's gonna get you the spotlight turned on you, all right? I know the basics of that day, okay, but I need to get your perspective, what you saw, what you heard, and everything. We're gonna get into that, okay?
Okay.
But I don't want you to hold back in fear of something.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know that there's some friction going on right now with the fire department and this whole deal. Okay, that's not I didn't make that. You know, I just got you know, it's like, what would you rather do? Would you rather go to a grass fire, or would you rather go to a big ass building that's on fire and you got to climb stairs and get to people? Safety wise, you probably want the grass fire, right? Well, I don't want this bag of nuts, you know, but that's what I'm stuck with.
Right.
Okay, you get the call, you got to go to the building, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I got.
And so you're saying this is just for, is this to clear Brad, or is this
Well, that's the question, is because certain things were not done
back then?
that should have been done, we have to do them now,
Right.
all right? So, like, Lieutenant Smith wasn't interviewed.
Right.
You know, you were not interviewed. Let's see, who's the other young Cottrell. I talked to him. He wasn't interviewed. Even Brad Cox wasn't interviewed. I mean, nobody was interviewed. You know, well, how the hell do I know besides video what happened? You know, because the video doesn't capture everything.
Right.
It doesn't capture context. It doesn't capture what was said. I know there's surveillance video and everybody's seen it because it hit the news, right? But there's no audio with that.
Right.
And the only audio is from the body camera when the officer shows up. But that's well after the fact, you know, and one kick, okay? And everything kind of like sensationalized, like, oh, God, it looks evil. Well, I don't know what happened.
Right.
And I'm not, you know, I'm not in a position to arrest somebody or charge somebody either way based on one piece of evidence.
Of course.
I gotta talk to everybody.
Right.
Okay, because your perspective might be different than, you know, Insco, the guy that was riding in the back of the box with him that day. Okay, and I talked to him, you know, but I've got to talk to everybody and put it all together.
Of course.
All right.
Yes.
So that's where we're at. It's not to clear somebody. It's not to vilify or charge somebody. Like, all I got to do is figure out the facts. Get all the facts.
Right.
Right. That's all I'm doing, and that's why I say I'm gonna throw questions, and I hope that I get honest answers.
Of course.
And if you got questions, ask me. I'm not gonna lie to you, okay?
Okay.
All right, but I'm not here to twist you up. I'm not here to start another control number or whatever y'all use in the fire department to go to internal affairs, okay? That's already been done, you've already given a statement to them, okay? And as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't come into play in this criminal investigation.
Oh, okay.
Because internal is one thing, criminal investigation is another, okay?
See, that's what I was, cause I talked to them.
I know, and they gave you a Garrity
Yeah.
warning, you signed this Garrity thing.
Yeah.
We don't do Garrity.
Okay.
You're not a suspect, so I'm not gonna do Miranda, okay? I've got a form that every city employee, and you're a city employee, I'm a city employee, the security or the light blue shirt that was working downstairs, they're a city employee, and every city employee, we give them this, just read this, and then give your signature, and I'll sign it too, okay?
Okay.
You got one? I'm gonna put AM next to your
Oh,
9:15. Okay. All right, so you understood that,
yes, sir.
right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And look, like I said before, I know that, there are some people that, I've been doing this long enough. There are some people, that love Brad Cox. And there's some people that hate Brad Cox. There's some people that love the homeless guy that was on the side of the road. His last name is Vess, all right, Mr. Vess. There's some people that love him, some people that hate him. I'm not there. I can't be there. I have to be unbiased. I have to be down the middle of the road. And when I look at the facts, what are the facts? What do we have? And where does it fit?
Right.
Okay? So, even when somebody, when I was a robbery detective and a homicide detective, I talk to witnesses, and some witnesses are they lean one way or lean the other. They're going to tell me a story, that might be favorable to whatever agenda or whatever side they're on, right?
Right.
And I just okay, so I have to pick that apart sometimes. Okay, well is that matching up with what I have?
Right.
And I'm gonna have to challenge. But that's why I say I ask questions. I just ask the people to be honest with me,
Right.
so that I can get because if I get a bunch of statements that lean one way, but then I've got a piece of evidence that might show a little bit different, then why is that? Why are we looking at it like that? Why is it leaning that way? Am I missing something over here, or is everybody else missing something? And is there a reason? Does that make sense?
That's right.
Okay, so you've been on for 4 years.
Just a
So
little bit over. Yeah.
okay, so by then you've been on for a little bit over 2 years. Okay, what station were you at then?
I was at Station 36.
36. Where's that at?
That's on Singleton and, no, I'm sorry, Hampton and Denison. That's,
Okay.
The main street will be Singleton and Hampton, but it's in between Singleton and Denison.
Okay, and where are you at now?
Right now I'm 26. That's gonna be in Jefferson and Westmoreland.
Okay, well that's not bad, is it?
No, it's actually pretty good.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Even Singleton, everything's kind of improving in that area, right? You got
Right.
some gentrification.
Yes, definitely.
What and when you were there, were you the rookie?
Yes.
Okay.
I was one of the rookies, and then it was me and Contrell
Control.
and two other rookies.
Okay.
It's a double company house, so they have an engine and a truck, so there's no ambulance. So
There's no ambulance?
There's no ambulance on that station, so
Really?
you don't need to be a medic to be there. So it's one of the lucky spots we get to choose if we're a rookie, and actually fight a little bit more fire than usual.
Okay.
But it's a good station.
So, and this is the first I've heard of this. Sidebar. So there's no ambulance at this station, and from when I talked to Cottrell, and did he let you know that he came? Do you ever talk to him?
I haven't talked to him in a long time.
Okay. Yeah, I talked to him and he explained that when I think he just went through or finished paramedic school or whatever, at the time were you paramedic certified also, or just firefighter?
No, it was just firefighter.
Okay, so you finish and then you go to the station. Then do you have to go to paramedic school?
You would have to go to paramedic school. Well, now they changed it, but yeah, back then it was you finish your fire, your EMT, you go out to a station, and then you're out at a station for 2 years, and then they send you to medic school.
Really?
Now it's your fire, EMT, and then medic,
Okay.
and that's a year of school. Back then it was just
Before
6
you even
months
get out and go
before
to.
you get out and go to the station.
Okay. So now, but you have to be a paramedic to ride an ambulance.
Mhm.
Okay. So now that everybody's coming out, everybody has to.
Right. Everybody has.
Is subject to go ride an ambulance.
Yeah, you can't go to a station that I used to be able to go to, like 36s, until after you finish 10 plus years on a box.
Right.
Where
So now 36 is an old head station where
Right.
there's no rookies going there.
right now, all those rookies are starting to just phase out.
Okay.
Yeah, so that now it's just gonna be older guys, and
Right.
no more younger guys that used to be there.
Okay.
Definitely, there's gonna be some guys that like they'll promote and they'll become lieutenants and
Right.
drivers, and they can pick those spots.
But typically you want to promote to get out of the box, right?
Yes,
Okay.
typically you'll promote and you'll get off the box.
What's the sentiment about having to ride an ambulance for so long?
Ooh, it depends. Some people will take it pretty well. They'll not, they'll stay pretty, light about it. They won't let it hurt them.
Won't dwell on it.
Yeah, but some guys they'll let it beat them down.
Really?
Yeah, just because it's so much run volume, and it's just so much just non-emergency situations where you just feel like, hey, you call an ambulance for you cut your hand, or
Right.
you hurt your foot, or
How often are you transporting?
pretty often actually.
Really?
Yeah, last shift, I think when you called me
Yeah. You
Before-
sound pretty busy.
before we got back to the station, we probably transported 4 or 5 people before 12 o'clock.
What time you start?
We started at 7. Well, we started I get there by 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
Around 6:30, we got our first call. We did no transport to certain people, but we had to we probably did maybe about 8 calls before 12 p.m.
Now, do you have to make it back to the station before you get another one, or
Mhm.
once you're done at the hospital?
Once we're done at the hospital, if we get in our district where
Yeah.
we usually run at, we'll clear. Like, I'm sure the MDC on the
Yeah.
police vehicle is the same way. You just clear up and they'll send us something if they have something for us. So for the most part, we'll stay pretty busy.
And there's not enough of you.
For the most part, so usually there is, but if it's district wise, if you're talking about district, like if another rescue is at the hospital in our area or around our area, then we're picking up their district.
Okay, so you may have to go outside your
So
space.
we may go out of our district just to
Okay.
catch a run. For the most part, we'll try to stay in our area, but if we can't, we'll have to.
And you had mentioned, so you go to firefighter school and then you go to EMT school.
Mhm.
Now, what's the difference between EMT and paramedic? If you don't mind.
An EMT is just a basic. You'll have a basic understanding of what emergency medicine is. You just do basic your vitals and life-saving procedures. You know how to do basic ACLS, which is like starting CPR on somebody, compressions, knowing what type of breaths you have to give. Basic stuff. You do have some medications you can give as an EMT, like as far as Narcan and aspirin. I think it's just aspirin. Might be aspirin, nitro, and several other things, but it's not much you can do as an EMT. As far as a paramedic, then you got like more
You got more tools.
tools. Yeah.
You got an ambulance.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta know not only the drugs on the ambulance, but what counteracts with like, hey, what should I give this patient if they're, they took cocaine and they're having chest pain or stuff like that, or if they've been, they overdose on Tylenol and they're starting to have stomach pains and stuff like that. It's a lot more complex. Like,
right.
You'll start learning a little bit more. This person took this medication. Now they're feeling like this. Oh, well, that's one of the side effects of this medication, this, that. So you'll start learning just a huge amount of information, which is pretty good. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It keeps you busy. It
Okay.
keeps you busy, and you're always learning something new. I know we have a medic that he was in Oklahoma for a long time. He did 7 years at a private ambulance. He says, dude, it's not like Dallas is not like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Just the runs and the amount
volume.
of sick people, and it's just, say he's learned a lot too. But there's always something. There's always something to do.
Probably makes the shift go by faster.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, well, thank you, because you always hear EMT, and
Right.
then paramedic. I'm like, well, what's the difference?
Yeah.
So now I understand.
Yeah. It's more,
So everybody on a fire truck is at least an EMT.
at least.
Okay,
At
and
least.
then
And-
back then,
back-
but now everybody should be phased into paramedic.
Right.
Okay.
And I think now even all, I think the officers, there should be some that squeeze through the cracks that they didn't go to medic school, but most of the officers or drivers there, they should have a paramedic background. So now they're a paramedic B. They're no longer on the box, but they know medic
They've got
stuff.
the training.
They've been trained,
Right.
But I know the training back then was not as extensive as it is now.
Right.
But yeah, they should have medic background.
Okay.
Anybody in the
So since you mentioned EMT, firefighter EMT, and then you're on an engine or whatever. Now you guys, and I've learned, because I didn't, it's been, the only time I dealt with you guys, when I was in patrol and you'd show up, typical patrol officer, and then when I worked homicide, you guys would get there, before I get there, and fuck up my crime scene, there'd be, there'd be a paramedic shit everywhere and a dead body, and it's like, I gotta sift through and figure out what was here before. But anyway, but now I've learned, through this process of everything, so on an engine or a truck, whatever, you guys, the engine might get there before the ambulance sometimes. And then,
Sometimes.
so you guys on the engine, you guys have a medic bag or a bag,
Right.
to do the EMT, vitals. And I understand that there's a way to start,
right.
at least kind of triage, figure out what you got,
Of
right?
course.
Okay. How often did y'all, when you were running the engine, back then, how often would you have to break out the bag and start doing stuff?
Almost every shift.
Really?
Like, if it's an EMS run, and depending on what ambulance we're getting, we probably break it out every run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before the box gets there?
Before the box. That way we can have a little base for them, a little
Okay.
foundation of what's going on. That always helps them out, because then they can go from there. Like, hey, this person's not
Instead of
that.
starting cold.
Yeah, instead of being like, well, what do you got? What kind of vitals?
Right.
And then we already have that set up for them.
Okay.
As an EMT can do that.
Alright. And so back then on August 2nd, 2019, you and Cottrell were the rookies.
Right.
Okay. How many people you were on an engine, right? That's an engine.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many people are assigned to an engine?
4.
4 people. And is there always an officer?
There should be always an officer. Sometimes with staffing, like, you could have a driver right up as an officer,
Okay.
or even an FRO, which is what I am, just a regular firefighter
Okay.
who would ride, as long as he has enough experience, he could ride up as an officer. For the most part, we do have an officer. We're at least supposed to have an officer on a
Okay.
engine or truck.
All right. So this particular day, it was you, Cottrell. The driver was Cox,
Mm-hmm.
and then the officer was Lieutenant Smith.
Lieutenant Smith.
Okay. And where's he? Do you know where he's stationed now?
He's still stationed at
He's still at
36.
36. Okay. And I think I'm Cottrell told me he was somewhere. He told me what station he was at, but he's somewhere else now, I think.
Is he at 45s, I think? Is it 45s? He might be at 45.
I'm not sure, but now it makes sense why he's not there because of the whole. There's no
Right.
ambulance there, so now you gotta.
Right.
Yeah.
Ship out.
So it makes sense. So that day, can you walk me through? Let's start with.
The start?
Yeah, from the beginning, and we'll go through. And if I interrupt you, it's not me trying to be rude. It's just me getting clarification
Right.
and hitting certain questions.
So I can't remember quite, like, the beginning of the day. I know I can, what I most remember of the day is that run. So
Let's talk about that run.
Okay, so I remember getting that run initially as just regular grass fire.
Okay.
And I do remember when we got there, it was just like a little tree right beside the SPCA. Just on the other side of the fence, you'd see I guess a couple of the workers with like a little green hose and trying to put it out. And you notice you don't see anybody on the side of the road. So we're like, shoot, man, how did this start?
Right.
So when we get there, they're practically had all of it out, and we
The
just kind of
workers?
helped them. Yeah, we just helped them on the other side because they couldn't really reach it. And
So they're on
the other side,
the back side, and you guys are on the service road side.
right?
Okay, and there's a fence that runs up.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. When we got there, it wasn't really burning as bad as they say it was.
Right.
So we put it out. We don't think much of it. We're like, that was it.
Right.
We're heading back to the station, but before we get to the station, I think the dispatch calls us back and says, "Hey, they're calling y'all back. They say that some grass is still burning or something like that. That something's still burning on the side of the road."
Okay.
I'm like, man, what? They're like, we didn't see anything else. So we're heading back. By this time, grass, it was a pretty dry time. I think it was August, so it was pretty dry. So all that grass, so across the street of the SPCA, there's a clear field, just dry grass, and it was just going, like, it was just spreading. And you do see, I guess you see him, what's his name? Vess. You see him, I didn't think much of it, but you see him like maybe 100, 120 feet from where that first fire was starting. And I was like, oh shoot, this is going. So we couldn't reach it. So I think we initially tried to get it with like a hose. I'm like, man, this is not gonna reach all the way back there. So we ended up hitting it with one of our deck guns.
Okay.
So we hit it.
Not the deal on the top?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that runs our water. So
Right.
we ran out of water, and so we started using a little water cannon and just getting every little spot that we could, because there are several spots where it actually, I don't know if he started them or it just kind of spread
Right.
to certain locations, and we're just putting them out.
And who's we? It
It's me, Cottrell, and even Lieutenant Smith. We're all just putting it out. And since Brad was driving, he was just handling the engine, all the lines, making sure how much water we had. At that point,
And that's the driver's responsibility, right?
that is
He's
his
got all the
responsibility.
gauges and everything.
He's got all the
Okay.
gauges.
Okay.
Yeah. At that point, we see one starting right next to, I guess, Mr. Vess, and we're like, oh, this guy must be starting these fires. So now we're looking at the guy. Well, I looked at the guy, but I'm too far away. And Brad, he walks up to him, and he looks at the fire, and he
And how far away were you when?
I was about, so from the engine to him, it was probably another 60, maybe 70 feet.
Okay.
And
you're by the engine?
I'm by the engine,
And
so I'm hard. He's
60
like,
feet up?
yeah, 60, 70 feet up, and I'm like right in front of the engine, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's gonna stomp it out. Well, he did, stomps it out, and the guy, he's laying down, and he kind of notices Brad, and he mumbles some
How
stuff.
far away from Brad was he?
He was not far away from Brad. He was probably like maybe a foot or two away from him.
Okay.
And Brad doesn't really pay attention to him. And he notices that, I guess he noticed that he wasn't like coherent, like he was just not listening.
Mm-hmm.
Because he asked him, he's like, what do you have in your hand or something like that. I think he directed something to him, and he's like, he's not even listening. So he turns around, Brad turns around, and the guy gets like, he gets, you can tell it made him mad. Something made him mad. So he looks at Brad and he just starts mumbling stuff, like just, blah, 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 starts yelling. And Brad still turned around. And I'm looking at the guy to make sure, like, hey, hopefully this guy doesn't try to do something or hurt him. And he's still just looking at Brad. And Brad's walking back
to
the engine. And as he walks back to the front of the engine, the guy stands up. He stands up, and he has something in his hand. Like,
Can you tell what it was?
It was like a little pipe. I don't know if it was a plastic pipe. It looked like some kind of PVC pipe. And he's like yelling some stuff, like kind of just moving really weird. And you notice kind of him like getting ready to throw something. Like he's about to throw it. And Brad's just staring at him like, okay, like is he gonna throw this thing at me? And I'm like, what is he doing? So
He's just acting crazy.
acting just like someone on drugs, like somebody just not coherent. And he throws it. He throws the thing. Well, good thing Brad's like, all right, I'm just gonna weave this. Weave it, goes past his left side. Well, that made him, I don't know if that made him even more mad. So now he's like, he's getting up close to Brad. And I'm like,
where are they at in relation to the engine?
So the engine, so it's facing, so he's right in front of the engine. So imagine this is the engine. Brad's standing right here.
Okay.
And this is the service road. So the guy's like walking towards him.
And where are you in relation?
In relation to the engine, I'm on the right side of the engine.
Okay, so you're basically right there in front of the engine.
Right in front of the engine
Okay.
still.
And then what happens? So he's walking towards Brad?
He's walking towards Brad, and
Did he say anything?
Brad didn't say anything.
No, does Mr. Vess say anything?
I remember him yelling stuff. I couldn't quite understand what he was saying, but he looked mad. He's just very aggressive, just not really making any sense to what he's trying to say. And he walks up to Brad, or he's walking up to Brad, and he starts like kind of like bouncing up, like he's about to fight him. And then Brad's like, stop right there. And he's like, no, and starts yelling some stuff. And the guy swings, like he swings at Brad. He's already maybe like 2 feet away still from Brad. And he takes that swing, and you can see his fist hits his forehead and his hat. So his hat flies off. Brad's hat, and he bounces back like, what the heck? Like, you can see his face. And I was like, whoa. I did not expect any of that. Like, that's like my first time where I've seen some guy actually hit somebody or somebody from the department. So I'm surprised. So I kind of froze a little bit, and the guy he's going for another one. And Brad, like, you can see Brad, he goes like, moves his hand to swing. He doesn't hit him. And the guy's like, oh, he goes for another one. He misses. And I don't know if I didn't see him, if Brad hit him with his fist on his chin, or if the guy stumbled as he was hitting him. Mm-hmm. But he did swing back. At that point, they kind of tussled for a little bit.
And when you say tussle,
like they're just kind of like trying to, the guy's trying to hit him, and Brad's trying to keep him away from him. He's like dirty, and just the closer that I got that first time that I actually saw him, he smelled nasty, and so Brad ends up, I guess he fell, so he fell back. He ends up dropping.
This is in front of the engine?
In front of the engine.
Okay.
But he gets right back up. That's when Brad, he kicks him back. He's like, hey, get back. And you can kind of hear it in his voice. I mean, he's scared. I mean, or it just sounds in his voice like he was like, man, stop, get back. Like it's kind of cracking, and I'm like, shoot, man. So I try to get in there. I'm like, let me hold him down. He's like, no, get back. This guy's nasty.
So is that when the guy was standing up, or when he went down?
Well, that's when he went down the first time.
Okay.
When he went down the first time, I was like, oh, well, let's try to hold him down. Well, this guy's he's not listening. So he's propping back up like, I'm gonna get back up and I'm gonna fight you again. So he tries to get back up and Brad kicks him back down. Guy gets back up, same thing, kicks him back down. And at that point, the officer's coming on the right side. I think Cottrell's coming on the right side, and Lieutenant Smith they're walking up towards us. Lou's calling for, hey, we got an individual. He got hit by a citizen or whoever, or by Mr. Vess.
So he's calling for
DPD
okay.
On scene. By the time they got several vehicles dispatched to the location.
And you're still up there in the front.
And I'm still up there.
What's going on up there?
And up there, the guy's he's not trying to listen to any command. So he keeps on getting back up. And Brad's pushing him back down.
How's he pushing him back down?
He's kicking him back down.
Where's he kicking him at?
At first he kicked him he kicked his legs. So he kicked his legs down, then he kicked him from the left side.
Okay.
So his left side best, and he tumbled down. He already looked like he was not stable enough, but he was just, it's like it didn't phase him. None of it phased him because he had no issue. He had no issue getting back up right after he pushed him back down.
Okay.
So at that point I was like, man, do you want me to, because I told him, I was like, let me try to grab him or something. It's like, no, man, you don't know if he has something else. Like, you don't know if he has another weapon.
That's what he told you?
Yeah. He's like, you don't know anything. And he's like, just stand back. So he pushed me back. That was Brad. And I was like, all right, man. Like, I'm not
going to. What Brad do?
And Brad, he just made sure he didn't get up. He was just like, hey.
And how did he make sure he didn't get up?
Well, by making sure, he just kicked him down. That's what he was getting.
So when he was down, and getting up, where was he kicking him then?
When he was down, he just kicked him wherever he could. But he wasn't like trying to aim for any spot. Now the few times that I did see him kick him, it was to the legs. He kicked him to the legs, and that's when he was standing up.
Okay.
That way he would drop back down. But he would just come right back up. I know Lieutenant Smith, when he got there, like we all kind of stood by the side of the engine, mm-hmm. But he was more worried about like, hey, let's make sure nobody else gets hurt or anything like that. Because as far as like I've never gotten in a fight like that or
right.
So I was just like, hey, man, I'm gonna step back. I'm not gonna.
How many times? Because I have to ask. How many times did that guy Vess did he try to get up?
More than 5 times.
More than 5 times?
Yeah.
And how many times did Brad kick him?
There was a couple times that when he kicked him, he wouldn't go down. So he wouldn't go down. It's usually whenever he swept his feet, mm-hmm. is when he would drop back down. But none of this.
How many times do you think he kicked him in the head?
'Cause
you're right
I
there.
I don't remember how many times he kicked him in the head.
Yeah.
I'm sure he kicked him at least once or twice.
Once or twice?
But the guy, like he'll look up, and it looked like he was gonna stop, like he had enough,
right.
But he'll just prop back up, like if nothing okay. bothered him. So I don't know what drugs he was on or what he had been doing that day that could have caused him to just be so aggressive, very combative, and that's what Brad was worried about. Like if he all of a sudden just decided like, hey, I got a knife on me, I'm just gonna right. knife you, and as we try to grab him, then he's like, man, I'm not gonna have us grab him because You don't know.
Do you have any training in dealing with people like that?
Who, me? As far as
DFR.
no, they don't. I mean, as far as medication wise, we'll give them some medication, try to calm them down, maybe versed them. But as far as us on the engine, like trying to hold them down, like trying to, they never told us like, hey, you know, hold them all down or something like that.
Never gave you any training on that?
No, it's not like they go through or kind of expect us to be in a situation like that, I guess. For us, the basic stuff that they told us to do would be to call for DPD to come and hold the guy down.
Okay. So looking at the video, I did notice, I think looks like you tried to intervene or help, and then that he pushed you back.
Yeah, he kind of like said, no, go back. Like at one point he grabbed my chest and like, man, just stand back. Like,
all right, and he hit Brad first time, knocked his glasses and
his hat off.
And his hat off.
Well, he knocked his hat off.
And then I guess they started swinging. He started swinging at Brad. Brad's trying to
push him out, push him out of the way. And it was kind of it was a really bad spot for Brad, because he was right beside, so like on the other side, so we're on the far right, we're right by the service, and on the left, there's still vehicles passing us. So I don't know if he was still kind of afraid, like, because the guy was kind of like, he was coming at him pretty aggressively. I think Brad was trying to just stay away from that far left lane because there's still cars coming by pretty quick. And
at any time did it look like this guy got knocked out?
I didn't see him get knocked out. Because even when he dropped, he was still kind of like, he still had full clenched fist, like, cause he would look at him like, sort of like kind of waiting, like, he would lay down, but he never like closed his eyes or.
And then when he'd lay down, then what would he do?
He would sit back up.
And when he sit back up, then what happened?
He would sit back up, and
then when Brad
he would kind of just like, he'll just kind of like sort of like on alert, like trying to see if I'm gonna get up now or I'm gonna wait till I get up.
What Brad did.
And Brad just kind of waiting on him to pop back up, because he would just wait for him a little bit, and as soon as like Brad stepped back a little bit, that's when the guy would just hit back up. Because if he wasn't up right on top of him, like if he felt like he had some space to actually get up, you can notice he was just, all right, I'm gonna get back up now.
Okay. When you guys left, because I seen the police show up, afterwards, did you guys discuss what happened?
Not really. We actually should have. Like, I felt like, because the initial interaction. So whenever we got back to the station, you could tell like Brad was just kind of frustrated with the whole deal. He was just like, man, like I was like just kind of like really pissed that whole thing happened. And then a detective or somebody, I don't know if it was a detective or somebody else, came and talked to him, and they asked him, hey, do you want to press charges against the guy, because obviously he hit you? And Brad was at him, he was like, no, I don't want to, like, I don't want to. And then whoever it was, she's like, no, I think you should. It's like, and I'm gonna need to take a picture. She took a picture of his forehead and said, we're just gonna keep it on record that he assaulted you. And that was the extent of somebody coming to talk.
So somebody came to the station and talked to him, and they asked him if he wanted to press charges. He didn't want to press charges.
He didn't.
Okay.
That was. Then after the fact, she said, oh, I was like, well, I recommend you do, but you can do whatever you want. And I think in the end, he might have been might have tried, or I don't know if he did or didn't, but they never came back and talked.
Why do you think he didn't want to press charges?
I think he was just kind of over the whole situation. I think he was just a little frustrated.
He was pissed off?
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't look like he was trying to deal with any of those issues.
All right.
Or the reality of the issues.
Let me ask you, so, because it's been asked, so I have to ask. So that guy Vess, he gets in, and I understand, I don't advocate anybody being somebody else's punching bag.
Right.
Okay, that's common sense, you know, and the penal code allows us to defend ourselves, period. And I have to ask, to clarify, when obviously kicks him in the leg, you get him down, he goes down. And then from the video, you know, I'm looking at the video and people are asking me, people above me, you know, I've got a video with Brad and Vess, and then you're there. And we've established, you know, you trying to hold the guy down and Brad pushing you back, no, and why he pushes you back. When Brad kicks him, he kicks him a couple of times, but how far up is Vess going? Because he kicks him, he goes down. He's not asleep, but like you said, he's like this. And when he starts to sit up, is that when Brad kicks him again to keep him down?
No, he's actually getting his knee under him. So he's getting his knee under him, like, to get up. But you can tell, like, I guess, I don't remember if he had a backpack on.
Okay.
So I remember he had some kind of bag on him. And you can kind of see him trying to take it off to get, I guess, a better motion. So he'd put his knee down and he would kind of, like, swing back as if to, like, try to get Brad as he's trying to get up. And Brad would bring him back down.
Okay.
And if in any of that situation, I don't think he was, you know, intentionally like, hey, before he gets back up, I'm gonna hit him back down. He was waiting for him to actually try to get back up, because at no point did I see him like, well, I'm gonna hit him when he's down, that way he won't get back up.
Right.
That guy was trying to crawl back up.
He had his clenched fist.
Yeah, he was already.
The whole time.
Yeah, he was waiting for, like, cause he was still like kind of like looking at us like,
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are y'all? All right, man.
What and you mentioned before, so he has a backpack and he's kind of moving the backpack so he can.
Swing around.
Swing.
So I think he was I don't know if he had anything in the bag. I don't remember if he had anything in there. Or...
And at any time did he? Now he's swinging at Brad, throws the PVC, and then he's swinging at Brad, and Brad's defending himself and knocks him down, and he goes to get up. So we have this motion of everything. And you mentioned the possibility. At any time did Vess reach in his pockets? Or was he focused on Brad the whole time? And
I don't think he ever reached in his pockets.
did he ever reach into his pants?
He might. You know what? I don't think so. Not that I remember.
Okay. Yeah, I'm asking what you saw.
Yeah, not that I remember. I don't think so.
Okay. Anytime did he reach into the backpack?
No, I don't remember him reaching. Aside from the beginning where he might have been grabbing that pipe.
Yeah. At any time did he say, you know, I'm gonna stab you, cut you, shoot you, you know?
I couldn't make out any of the saying. He was yelling stuff. He cursed them. Yeah, he cursed some stuff. I could hear some curse words in between.
Right.
But I can't make out.
You couldn't ascertain a threat or anything like that, other than the physical threat. There's no verbal threat.
There's no verbal.
You think the guy was just pissed because Brad was putting out his fire that he was setting up?
I believe so. I believe the drug is a drug-induced type. Because I don't see anybody. He might have had a mental disorder or something, but for him to be so aggressive initially, like for no reason, it kind of seemed like that I don't see why it would make him so mad for him to just put out. I guess we put out those other fires, and Brad telling him, he might have told him, hey, like, hey, put that lighter down, or
What,
don't grab that lighter.
what did Brad tell him when he went up to? You said he stomped out the fire. What did Brad say to him?
I think he told him, hey, put that lighter down, or give me that lighter, or something like that. And that sent, but the guy was just holding on to the lighter, and I think he just put it back in his pocket, like, hey, I'm keeping my lighter, I guess. And he never.
What did Brad say?
Oh, I guess he didn't tell him anything else, because I know he wasn't gonna try to mess with him.
Okay.
So he just turned back around, and
Right.
the guy was already. Yeah, he was already.
So
aggravated.
you think the guy was on drugs, or you think he had some mental health problems?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was both. Like
Okay.
him, just maybe some.
Now you're a paramedic. You've been trained. I'm not. I trained to, investigate shit and fire my gun. Right? If we have to shoot somebody, we call you guys. So, but you're the paramedic, right? In your training, did this guy Vess present himself as somebody with mental health problems or drug problems or both or what?
Initial, I'd say it looked more of a drug related, or because I wouldn't be able to, with him not talking to us or him just being just the initial aggression, because I've seen that a lot in if just meth or some stimulants, they will cause you to just lash out like that.
Okay.
I've seen that a couple times, and we'll give them some Versed and they'll just mellow out. Aside from that, I haven't seen that in any other situation. Even for mental health patients, talking to them, because I've seen some aggressive mental health patients that haven't been on drugs, and most of the time, if you're able to, stay at a distance and talk to them, they will listen. But he was not listening at all.
Okay. So what are you telling me, that the fact that there was no verbal back and forth communication?
Yeah, even at a small amount, like even if it would have been like just, no, I hate y'all or something, like it's like I just want to light fires. There's some just
Right.
general, like it would have shown me, okay, he has some kind of mental, like just like he knows what he's doing,
Right.
and he can tell me what's going on, but he was not making any sense of what any type of, like, it's just incoherent, all of it.
Have you, and cause I gotta look at everything, alright? Like from the time you guys got the call, like we talked about, you went to SPCA, little fire left, and then had to come back all the way to the end. So you get back to the station, somebody shows up, takes some pictures, talks to Brad. Brad says he doesn't want to, press charges. Sounds like they kind of pushed him, no, you need to press charges. Did you and Brad ever discuss this at any time?
No,
Up until today?
I haven't talked to him actually.
When was the last time you talked to Brad?
Probably. He was still working. It'd probably be because he's fired now. So
Yeah.
One of his last few shifts before he got fired, it might have been, but because I swung to the station he was working at, well, we didn't really talk.
When you say
much.
swung, that's when you fill in?
Yeah, so as far as they were short-handed, and I had to go in to fill in at the station he was working at. But we actually probably never talked about this whole situation.
He never reached out to you once it started back up?
Probably the only one who asked me, and it was at the beginning, was our captain. And our captain was just kind of like, hey, this might come back up. Just make sure you know what you're gonna say, man. Like, you make sure you tell them what you saw, man. Like,
Who's your captain?
Captain Green.
Okay. Did he ever ask you for a statement?
No, nobody
Okay.
asked
Alright.
me for a statement.
Nobody asked for a statement. Did he ever ask you what happened?
Yeah. He asked me.
Did you tell him what happened?
Yeah. I told him
Okay.
exactly how it happened.
All right. So I don't want to get into that because that's your superior asking you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm trying to establish is since you were there, do you go by any nicknames?
They call me Pepe.
Are they call you Pepe?
They used to call me Pepe. Yeah.
Okay, all right, because I know that, and not to alarm you, but part of my job is looking at everything, right? So I got some social media, all right, and I noticed that Brad referred to you as Pepe,
Right.
and I wanted to make sure, like, is that derogatory? Is that, okay? And he said something about you just standing there, the whole time, not getting in on it. Right. So I didn't know if. So he's and here's the deal. He's messaging somebody. I have it. Okay, plain and simple. Like he's talking to somebody about this incident and about what he did and how he did it. And I got you there, and then he's talking about Pepe didn't even get in on it. He just stood there. So I'm trying to figure out. Is Brad, defending you? Is he, because here he's talking about you didn't even get in on it.
Yeah, obviously.
It's like when I was in high school and I get in a fight, it's like, hey, this is my buddy. I expect you to freaking help me out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because they did something. The initial was like, hey, I was like, man, dude, you freaking pushed me out. Like, I had to tell him, I was like, hey, because we were right there when Cap asked me, he's like, hey, it's like, how did it happen? Or what? Because you were there.
And were you and Brad telling the captain together?
Yeah, well, it was basically, he asked me in front of everybody, and I kind of gave him the whole gist. I was like, look, this is how it happened. And I guess he probably, in the whole motion of things, he probably didn't even remember. I'm sure he was just kind of like in shock most of the time, because he didn't look at me straight in my face. He just kind of like, no, like sort of like, no, step back. So him not noticing me was kind of like, I was like, yeah, he probably didn't even think about it. That's probably the least of his worries when he's dealing with this guy. Was me. And so I was in my head.
You or Cottrell or Lieutenant Smith.
Yeah.
So, and some of these questions are kind of difficult. Difficult to answer. I don't know. When you're telling me that Brad, when he would kick this guy, because the video obviously he's kicking. Once the guy goes down, Brad's just kicking. Right. He's not leaning over, striking. He's striking him. Yeah. Which is, as a fighter, because Brad's a fighter, right? He's an MMA fighter. So it's smarter if I can stay on my feet. I'm better. Right. Once I go down, I'm at a disadvantage. Yes. So who's at the disadvantage on this?
As far as
in that position, yeah.
So
probably Vess, the guy that's on the ground, right?
Okay. Definitely.
So he's at the disadvantage. Brad's at the advantage. So you're saying that each time Brad would deliver a kick was when Vess would actually get his feet under him.
Yeah, as he was trying to get up, yeah. Even at some motions, he was already up, so he would already be up. Yeah. But sometimes, yeah, he would definitely, like, as he's trying to get his knees under them, like, trying to swing at Brad, he would push him down. He'll kick him back down. Okay.
And where was he striking him that you saw? Because you were there.
I've seen him.
I was there looking.
I saw him hit him in the abdomen as well. I did see him hit him.
How many times do you think he kicked him in the face?
I think.
How many kicks to the face does it take to break the orbital floor and the nose?
The nose. It probably takes less. Takes a kick. It takes at least a kick
to break both of those.
Shoot, the orbital. Where's the orbital? Shoot, right here.
Yeah.
If it's that one kick, yeah. Especially if somebody's trained, I'm sure it'll take one kick.
Okay. All right. How many times did it kick him in the face?
Shoot, I'm sure if I saw him at least once before DPD got there, and then at least the second time. Okay. Aside from that, I didn't see him any more times than that. Okay. I'm sure he kicked him in the abdomen. He kicked him in his legs a lot just to try to keep him down. But
and you mentioned when DPD got there. So going to if we look at the body camera, that one video, right? And he, and we can agree. Have you seen that video? The one where the officers are there. The one kick that made the news to begin with. Okay. Right. I don't know if you noticed, but he actually kicked him here. Did you see that?
On his arm?
Yeah. Yeah, when he went to kick Vess actually, he caught him right here. Like, and he kicked him, okay? So luckily he didn't catch him in the face. He caught him in the arm because he raised his arm. But if you remember, Vess was getting up. Right? Now, consistent with, the other kicks, and then we have DPD showing up, and then the officer's there with the body camera, and then Vess sits up. Now, there's some confusion as to what Brad tells him. Do you recall what Brad tells him? Okay. So, and that's for, somebody else to figure out exactly what he said. But when he kicks him, is that consistent with the way he was kicking him before?
Him standing up, or him?
Brad standing there, and either Brad tells him don't get up again or get up again. There's some confusion. People are hearing one thing, people are hearing the other. I'll give him credit. I think he says don't get up again. Okay, but
it makes it's at one point it is, but it's not consistent. Where he was propping up a lot quicker.
Okay.
I think he just stood there because he saw so many cops just kind of surround him. But what kind of might have also so I feel like he kicked him, and then before I think we're standing there for a good. I think they're standing there for a good minute or so before they even handcuffed him. I don't know if they were waiting for us to let them know what the situation was, or if they wanted to actually see him.
They're actually waiting for a couple more officers to show up.
Okay, so we didn't know the situation.
Yeah, y'all didn't know. Just like, I don't know, hey, that building's burning, why the hell aren't you going in?
Right.
Those officers were actually waiting for 2 more officers, because our protocol was somebody like that, if we can, he's down, we're going to wait and get more, because we have to have 4.
Okay.
How many people die of this excited delirium? Right.
Yeah.
You got somebody that's crazy or high, you got a drug-induced psychosis,
Right.
you got 2 officers that go in to handcuff them, when at the time, they were waiting on 2 more to show up because of protocol. We need 4. Everybody gets a limb, so that we're not just 2 of us piling on the guy, suffocating him. Right? So that's why they were waiting. So if anybody's complaining, please dispel that. They weren't like, we're scared. They were like, well,
when we got there, so when they got there, he had not gotten up. So I think Brad was just kind of stepping back, and there was at least 5 officers there. So I didn't see where one of them motioned to wait for anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So Brad was like, okay, I guess I'll wait here, or we're missing something. Like, something's got to be done before.
And you guys were waiting for the
Yeah.
police. The
Yeah,
police were waiting for y'all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's like a miscommunication.
Because you guys had already told them.
Yeah, we had told him, this is the guy. So our lieutenant, he's like, hey, this is the guy who's.
You'd already told them that this
Yeah.
guy assaulted
Yeah.
one of my guys.
So yeah, they're definitely, and there's actually one holding their taser, like as if, like, if I need to,
Right.
I'll tase him. But that situation didn't happen until this guy got up.
Gotcha.
So this got up, Brad's like, hey, this guy's getting back up.
How was Lieutenant Smith after this?
As far as
Like
talking
on the
to
way
us,
back to the station, or did he talk to y'all?
he didn't really tell us much. He kind of waited for us to get back to the station and then talk to our captain. And
Okay. He didn't debrief with you guys or discuss it?
he actually didn't really talk to us about it
Okay.
until our captain spoke.
Did you ever see, are there any other videos of, so we got the body camera video and then you got the surveillance video. Are there any other videos that you've seen of this guy Vess or anything like that?
I have not.
Okay.
The only video I've seen was the one they showed on the news.
Okay.
But I hadn't seen any other ones.
Okay. All right. At any time, so obviously Brad's defending himself, and handling this guy. Pushes you off, probably, and he's kind of in the zone.
He's focused. He was just not.
And so he's in the zone, he's focused, and pushes you back. So this guy never, and you never see him reach in his pockets or in the bag or anything like that. At any time, was this guy a threat to you?
He never. Well, I say he never looked at me. I couldn't say. I was more like worried, like, hey, is he really gonna try to? Am I gonna have to defend myself? And more the fact, like,
Did you feel threatened by this guy? Was he so focused and pissed off at Brad?
I think he was just so focused on Brad. I did feel like I wasn't like, I'm not gonna say, hey, I wasn't scared of, like, yeah, I felt like at one point, if he would have looked at me, I think I would have been a little bit more afraid than what Brad would have been.
Okay.
I felt like the threat. If I would have been there by myself, I know I would have been
right. But at the time,
in trouble. At the time,
that's what I got worried about. At the time,
yeah, at the time he was too focused on
He was
Brad.
Brad's problem.
He was bad.
Not your problem necessarily.
Necessarily.
Okay. All right. Did you and Cottrell talk about this as two rookies on the engine?
No, I didn't tell him anything. I was just like, man, that's nuts. Like that whole situation was just.
All right.
It was just crazy.
All right. Well, give me a minute and let's see if let me talk to my boss, see if I need to ask you anything else.
Okay.
Okay. I know you're ready to go home, so. Whereabouts do you live?
I live in Lancaster.
Lancaster? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, give me a second. sit there for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, the video I want to show you, just for clarification, and log in. So this is, alright, I'll wait for a second. I want to ask you a few questions and then we'll go over this, switch back over. Come on, over here. Oh, yeah. Alright, so in a second we'll play that. I want to go through. So this is the surveillance video that everybody's seeing now.
Right.
And so, like I said, we got two videos. We got the body camera video of the one kick, and then you've got the surveillance video that the news was kind enough to blast everywhere, right?
Okay.
Right. So I want to go over it with you, make sure that I've got everything clear, you know. But first, did you ever see Brad filming on his phone, filming this guy or anything like that?
No.
You never saw that? Did you ever see a video that Brad took of this guy before the encounter? Okay. When he threw the pipe at Brad, did it ever make contact with him?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I thought he, from what I saw, he moved out of the way.
Okay. And so from the beginning of when you were up there with Brad in that area, is there anything we missed as far, so we know that the guy's sitting there, he said he's laying down, Brad goes up, stomps out the little fire, says something about give me the lighter or something like that,
Right.
and then Brad walks away. Is there
Right.
anything we're missing? Were you there the entire time for that until the guy charged?
If I remember correctly, yeah, I was.
Okay, so there's no time gap or nothing where you weren't there?
No.
Okay, all right. And then, so let's, if you want to hit play for me, and then kind of, we'll walk through it. So on the top there.
Oh, so he's a lot closer though. I felt him a lot further away.
Right, and then you had said like, what, 60 feet?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a lot closer to that engine than I initially thought I saw him.
Now, do you recall where you were in this?
Yeah, that's actually me right there.
Okay. And that's you up front?
Yeah, that's me up front.
Okay. And that's
So
Cottrell in the back?
that's Cottrell in the back,
Okay.
and then he pushes me back.
Hit pause for a minute. Alright, so from your perspective, where are you?
So this is me right here.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Out of the three,
yes.
you're in the middle?
Yeah.
And who's on the right?
This is Cottrell, I think.
Okay.
That's Cottrell.
And then who's on the left?
Right here?
No, you're in the middle. Who's to the left?
Shoot, where at? Him?
Yeah.
Him? Shoot, is that? I think that's Mr. Vess. Not
Where's Brad? Is Brad in there?
that. Yeah, that's gotta be Brad.
Okay, that's Brad there. So is Mr. Vess laying down?
It might look like he is.
Okay.
I don't remember. To be honest, he could be laying down.
Okay. Good play for me. All right. Now tell me. Now pause it real quick. Did you see what I
Oh,
saw?
shoot.
All right. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me. I mean, you were there. I know
Right,
it's been 2 years,
Right.
but you were there. I wasn't. I'm looking at a video. Okay. So you got Cottrell, you, Brad, and
Right.
Vess.
Right.
Now it looked like to me
That he was still laying down.
they were still laying down, and
Yeah.
Brad kicked.
Right.
Okay. So what do you want me to call you? Pepe? You want to call me Mr. Ramirez? What do you want to call
whatever. Yeah, Mr. Ramirez. Yeah.
Mr. Ramirez.
Whatever.
Okay.
Pepe.
So
Whatever.
from your perspective, in
Yeah.
your opinion, what did you just see?
It looked like he kicked him as.
Well,
yeah.
we know he kicked him.
Yeah.
All right.
As he was laying down.
Now is that what you saw? Is that what
See,
you remember you saw? Or-
No, that's not what I remember, but that's what
I'm
that
not trying
looks
to jam
like.
you up.
No. There's at some points like. I mean, he still had motion. Like he still had motion.
Right.
At no point did I see him like, hey, he's out of it. He's
Well, I
just
understand
kicking
that,
him.
there's a difference between, it's out cold snoring,
Right.
eyes closed, and eyes open. So, if this guy looks like he's laying down,
Mhm.
and then, to me, from the video, and then to the guy that was there next to Brad,
Right.
that's you, looks like the guy was laying down. So it helped me fill in the gap of why would Brad kick him? Let's just take that one time. Why would Brad kick him that one time while he's on the ground?
Possibly to avoid him to getting up.
To prevent him from getting up?
Prevent him from getting up.
Okay.
But
Now, I'm no doctor, I'm no scientist, but it looked like he was flat on the ground. And wherever the head goes, the body's gonna follow, right?
Right.
And if the head's on the ground, it's hard to get your feet under you and stand up,
Right.
right? So I don't think at that point he had his feet under him to stand up.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead and hit play. Let's see. Because after that kick, it looks like you moved towards them. And then there's some pause. Okay, then the police starting to show up. Okay. So, after watching that video and really looking at it, what do you think was going through Brad's mind? Let's just take that last kick.
That last kick.
Yeah,
Uh,
because you were there.
I mean, I'm sure he was trying to avoid to get hurt.
I'm sure, but I mean, clearly that last one, the guy looked like he was down on the ground,
Right.
not trying to get up. That's
Right. But even in that last video, I feel like.
And we can watch it
Where
again
that
if you
cop-
want. If you want to point out things to me that,
Yeah.
that I'm not seeing that you're seeing, if you want to do
Yeah.
that.
No. I mean, it does look like he's on the ground.
Yeah.
Shoot, even seeing him from what I saw initially, I felt like he wasn't even gonna stay down. Like I mean, yeah, obviously
His intention looked like he was
intention-
going to keep getting up.
his intention looked like he was not anywhere near
Right.
stopping from getting
Have
up.
you ever seen, and remember, I've got people above me ask questions, so I have to ask, even though sometimes I don't think they're pertinent to the investigation.
Of
I have
course.
to ask. Have you ever seen Brad fight?
I've never seen
His MMA stuff, anything like that?
No.
You ever seen any videos, anything like that?
I've seen a video. I don't know if it was him or his brother because he has a twin brother.
Mhm.
I've seen a video of his MMA fights.
Okay.
I've never seen him fight or
Personally?
personally.
Okay, but you've seen videos and stuff?
Uh-huh.
So at this time, did you know that he was an MMA fighter?
Yeah, I knew he was.
Okay.
I knew
Are you trained to fight in MMA?
No.
Are you trained in any self-defense, mixed martial arts, anything like
No.
that? All right, but Brad is?
Brad is.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Well, he's got videos.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
Of
looks
him
like-
fighting.
it
Of
looks-
him fighting.
Yeah, it looks like he knows what he's doing.
And he looks like he knows what he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
At any time, do you think that Brad was pissed off at this guy?
Not more than what he should have been. I mean, I'm sure I would have been pissed if somebody hit me.
Sure.
But not something. It didn't look like he was being vengeful or something like that. Or, it looked more like he was just pissed at the situation, like that he was put in. I know for a fact that saying on my part, like I would have been. I'm much more glad that he was there with me than if I would have been without him. Like if it would have been anybody else, I felt like I would have been scared for. Like you were saying initially, like hey, like you feel like you were threatened. Well, I didn't feel threatened just because of who I had in my corner. But if
Gotcha.
if
Brad wasn't there.
If Brad wasn't there, I'm sure that situation.
But we don't know.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Did Brad? Do you know if Brad threatened him when he was up there talking to him? Did he say anything stupid like "you dumb motherfucker"? You know what the fuck you doing? Anything like that?
No, not that I heard from
Okay.
the distance that I was at. I didn't hear him say anything.
Okay.
No, as far as when he was sitting down and talking to him.
Yeah, when he was up. Yeah, they're camping out the fire or something.
No.
Okay. All right. You got any questions for me?
Shoot, I feel like my information is not as I remember it. Like I feel like a lot of it's like even looking at the distance that he felt so much more further away than I was.
You know, that's the brain. You know, and then you've got 2 years. You know, of time. You know, somebody should have talked to you guys back then, so it'd be fresh. When did? Let me ask this: why? I think you mentioned that Brad said he didn't want to press charges. Why? Why did he say that? Do you know?
He didn't. I didn't ask him about it, and it sounded more like the way he said it to the detective. It more sounded like I just want this to blow over. I just don't want it.
You think he was worried about what happened?
It didn't seem he was worried about it.
Okay.
Not that he told.
Okay. Not like, damn, I kicked that guy too many times, anything like that?
He didn't
Okay.
mention any of that, but I mean, he could have talked to the officer and said something else, but
Right.
from what he told us, he never said anything else. He never mentioned anything else.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
But now he's in this situation, so now he's,
Right.
so it's kind of different.
Okay. All right, well, give me 1 second, okay?
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. All right, brother, good?
Yes, sir.
Sir.